Tonight on Joy News Prime, Ghana could be registering 17 more recoveries to bring to 100 the total number of people cleared of COVID-19 after treatment. Ghana's case count, meanwhile, now stands at 641 after 5 new cases from the Dentang and Ayawaso West and East municipalities in the Greater Accra region. In a related development, the stigma against persons presumed to have the virus and those suspected to have come into contact with confirmed cases is said to be hampering the fight against the pandemic.
Well, I'm tested negative. 2. What about you? But you are rather scared of me. The stigma over the children, I thank God they are strong behind me. They go to town, some of them don't want to prove them. But I saw other police friends who also try and call and encourage me that I should go ahead.
Another COVID-19 positive patient, this time in the Upper West region, is said to be on the run after he was told to self-isolate. Upper West Regional Health Director attributes increasing number of cerebrospinal meningitis cases to lack of adequate personnel at health facilities in the region.
Our region is saddled with low human resource, so we have fewer nurses and also especially we have fewer doctors to also manage the case.
Also in this bulletin, we bring you the story of the young fabricator who's ventured into the production of face shields and essential PPE in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic.
Since I use laser machine to fabricate things, I thought of making a head face shield that will prevent the health professionals from contracting the virus. And in business,
if you are a prepaid electricity user wondering how you will benefit from the COVID-19 electricity relief package announced by government, the Energy Minister John Peterman will break it down for you.
The ECG Lifeline customer population in Ghana, currently it's about 1 million Ghanaian. By the customer population, we are talking about the number of meters.
He's also been talking about how much the relief it will cost the state and how government intends to pay the power generators. Later in the bulletin, a 16-year-old in Fushegu in the northern region shares a story of how 11% of Ghanaians still drink from surface and other unsafe water sources.
We want the pipe or the nice water because that water is not nice for us to drink, but we drink because we don't have any water.
I'm Israelai, anchoring from home, and remember, Joy News Prime is live on digital terrestrial TV because we're free to air.
And my name is Aisha Ibrahim in the Joy News studios in Kokomlemle on digital address DA 0992539. The bulletin is also live on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. Please stay tuned in.
In our first story, Ghana could have 17 more COVID-19 patients being certified as fully recovered very soon. This, together with the 83 who have so far recovered, should bring to 100 the total number of recoveries, even as Ghana's case count reaches 641. Information Minister Kojo Nkrumah told journalists in our Thursday's COVID-19 news conference the confirmed cases were found after nearly 51,000 samples were tested. He explains any decision to extend the current lockdown will be informed by the outcome of ongoing tests.
Have been in 3 categories. There is the normal surveillance test, which is what ordinarily we would have found if we were still using the old method. Under the normal surveillance test, 13,838 people have been tested under the normal surveillance test. People who suspected they had symptoms, etc., and got in touch with 112 and the phone platforms or went to their clinicians to be tested. 13,838. 268 of them tested positive. That is a rate of 1.9%. So 1.9% of the people who suspect they are having symptoms tested positive. Then there is the mandatory quarantine, where the state decided that we'll mandatorily quarantine people and test them once they were entering the jurisdiction at a time that our borders were being closed. It was in two parts, airport and Tamale. So the Accra airport and Tamale. At the Accra airport, we ended up running a total of 2,011 tests. 2,011 tests. 105 of them tested positive. In the end, that's a rate of 5.28% tested positive.
Now, let me take you through some additional figures which the minister did not touch on, but which is available on the Ghana Health Service website, which has the COVID-19 case count at 641, with 83 of those who were infected now fully recovered. Now, the breakdown of the 641 positive cases are as follows. 17 have been treated and reverted to negative on repeat test and discharged. Furthermore, 66 have tested negative once and are awaiting second test. That second test, we're told, has come through as negative, and so they have been certified as fully recovered. That's how they arrived at a total of 83 recoveries. Now, 548 cases have been categorized as mild disease and are on treatment. 2 are categorized as moderate to severe cases. None is in a critical state currently. That's according to the figures provided by the Ghana Health Service, even though that could change as we speak. Now, Ghana has recorded 8 deaths so far. The 5 new cases that were added on Wednesday night were recorded in the following locations: 1 from Adenta municipality and 2 each from Ayawaso East and Ayawaso Central municipalities. With the exception of 1 of the cases from Ayawaso East, all the new cases are asymptomatic. Now, here's the regional breakdown. Upper West, we have 7, Upper East 4, Northeast 1, and then move to Ashanti 53, Eastern 41, Central 1, Greater Accra has the most, that's 514. Now, stigmatization of persons who are presumed to have COVID-19 and their relatives, and even those who are supposed to have come into contact with such persons, is said to be significantly hampering Ghana's efforts at containing the coronavirus pandemic. Health officials warn, unless the public desist from such conduct, persons with symptoms are unlikely to come forward to be tested and treated. To help address the issue of stigma, one of Ghana's 83 recovered patients was at Thursday's COVID-19 news conference to tell the story about how he started developing symptoms, got tested, treated until his recovery. One of the most difficult of the encounters for Fredra, however, is how his wife and children were tested negative. Who were tested negative had to endure stigma.
I was there and I received a strange call. Please, are you Mr. Fredra? I said, yes. You visited the hospital this day? I said, yes, I visited the hospital. The gentleman there said, yes, they took your sample, and lo and behold, they found out that you are COVID-19 positive or coronavirus positive. In fact, it wasn't easy for me. I was trying to control myself. The doctor called me, the one who called me, and encouraged me that I should just disassociate myself from my family. Let me stay at one place and let me let my wife just attend to me and the rest of the children just go far. I was able to obey him, and since then the children were suspicious, but all the same, my wife was strongly behind me. She helped me, and the gentleman said they will ask for ambulance to come and pick me. I was so eager that the ambulance should come so that I can leave early. That fateful Thursday, the ambulance was not there. Friday, the ambulance was not there. Then Saturday, which was 21st, around 4:35 o'clock p.m., the ambulance came. That is the place where I saw myself dying. I really saw myself dying simply because of the information out there. I also know that, oh, the moment you are being attacked by this virus, within 2-3 days you are dead and gone. I saw my wife and my children cry seriously. I have never sat in an ambulance before, but that day I sat in an ambulance, and the only thing that I can tell my wife is that I just wave her. Yes, I was discharged Sunday. I came home on Sunday. The doctors and the psychologists let me know that I should stay indoors. But after certain interviews that I did, my wife will go to town. The moment she comes in, she will just be crying. So she will not even grant any interview again. You just be crying. Why are you crying? When I went there, if the team is there, they will say it is not there. I can remember I was going to barber my hair. I don't go out. One day I want to go and just barber my hair. I went there, the gentleman just saw me. He just said, and all, that is it. But the point is that at times I feel bad because I know my status. You don't know your status. That's why I want to get closer to you. Yeah. I know my status that I'm tested negative. True. What about you? But you are rather scared of me. The stigma over my children, I thank God they are strong behind me. They go to town, some of them don't want to prove them. But I saw other police friends who also try and call and encourage me that I should go ahead. 19, let me tell you that it's real. COVID-19, coronavirus, it is real. And
before anyone heard of Fred Rush's story, Joy News had been speaking with people who had endured the stigma firsthand, but who were not even COVID-19 patients. According to them, the derision from especially people they regard as friends and even family was simply unbearable. We bring back that Joy News report by Justice Bedu telling the story of how coronavirus had transformed friends into foes.
They started telling the people who ride the motorbikes to go and spread the news.
This child has asked me to hide his identity. He says he's been through hell, and even though he looks scared, he wants the world to know his story. Hopefully, that changes something.
You don't know that I've gotten some, so you will not be talking about people soon.
I'll call him Oko. Oko's father is one of the people who are currently receiving treatment for coronavirus. Since his father was taken to hospital, he himself and others in his home have tested negative. But that has not spared him scorn from people who used to be friendly neighbors.
Now ever, no one comes to our shop to come and buy anything. As a result of that, my father asked my grandmother to close the shop. If people see that one of the people in this house has gone out, they'll even run away, or sometimes they'll be watching you, or sometimes they'll be mocking you.
These two sisters have also invited me into their home to tell me their story. They too have a brother receiving treatment for COVID-19. The attacks they faced has forced them to shut their food vending business. They've asked the 4 workers they work with to go home, and they've also stopped going to the market because since the rumor went out, everyone who meets them runs away.
The way they are treating us, it's as if we are the ones with the disease. We need to be tough to go through this. The whole town has been told not to come close to us. They do not even buy from us again.
I've lost most of my friends because of this problem. And I don't know what is coming ahead. Whether if school reopen, I'll work or not, I don't know.
From far away, somewhere in Europe, this woman too reached out with a familiar story.
Someone has been around the community and then the neighboring community to tell them that we've all contracted the virus. So
her family back in Ghana has been through the same trauma, and even outside the borders of Ghana, she feels the heat too. Over Skype, she had a message.
I would plead with our government, they should also focus informing the general public about stigma, because the disease or the virus might not kill the person, but the stigma might.
This week will be a critical one in Ghana's fight against coronavirus, according to the government. But it seems there's a disease that is even more critical that the country is yet to pay attention to. stigma. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Accra.
Dr. Samuel Kaba Korea is the Director, Institutional Care at the Ghana Health Service and coordinator of the laboratories for testing. He essentially leads Ghana's coronavirus test team. He joins us in the studio now for some discussions on the issue of stigma and how this is hampering efforts to fight the pandemic. Thank you very much, Dr. Kaba. Now, we've heard a number of these stigma stories. How bad is the situation?
Thank you so very much to you and to everyone listening to us right here in Ghana and beyond. First, let me say, express my deepest gratitude to all the health staff, the security agencies and the media for the ongoing education and handling of this coronavirus issue. Now, straight to the point, we are really feeling it right now. It's extremely sad for us because one, the patients that we diagnose and they are in the community, it's become very difficult for us to access those communities and get them out. Even in some instances, they don't even want to see the ambulances around the community. Two, because of the stigma, people don't want to go to the hospital when they know that they've been in contact with someone who had the disease. And it's so hard for us because once you delay going for medical attention, by the time we get it, it's too late for us to be able to deal with you appropriately and get a good recovery. So all these things make us really sad. Now, let me say this. We all have seen in abroad where Boris Johnson had it, Prince Charles had it, the Prime Minister of Canada's wife, they all came out. Idris Elba, they all came out and said, look, I have this. And that is what we want from our people too. That influential people, we need faces, we need champions, we need the religious bodies, we need community leaders, the chiefs, the queen mothers, we need everyone on board. This is about community ownership. This is about community empowerment. That is the only way we can fight COVID-19. Because each case that you keep in a community can affect the entire community. And now, let me say this.
Dr. Kaba, isn't it a case of, before you say that, isn't it a case of people just being cautious, considering the mode of infection or transmission? In other words, where do you draw the line between people being cautious and maintaining a social and physical distance and stigmatization?
You know, one thing is being cautious, where you maintain the social distance, where you keep up your hygienic issues, where you wash your hands and all that. And another thing is actually discriminating against someone because the person had COVID-19, was positive. So here's the point: you don't want the person to get closer to you. You don't want the person to talk to you. Like the gentleman just said, he has gotten 2 tests, negative. He's cured, right? And yet people don't want to get closer to him, and people don't want to get closer to his family, who are also negative. And those are the things we saw during HIV time. Those are the things we saw at the beginning of TB. And that actually prolonged the disease, because then people have it, they don't want to bring themselves forward. And we have, let me say this, if you have Boris Johnson come to Ghana, wouldn't we be the same people to go receive him at the airport? Wouldn't we be the same Ghanaians to want to get closer to Idris Elba? Wouldn't we be the same people to want to meet with the Canadian Prime Minister's wife? Then why don't you want to accept our own brothers and sisters? This is the time we have to show love. This is the time we have to understand that we need the entire country, we need the communities to embrace their people and get to know that together that's the only way we can fight it. If you try to avoid them, then the spread is even is more, and the control becomes difficult.
Dr. Kaba, the other issue which has been on many minds is Ghana's recovery rate as compared to other countries in the West Africa South region. Currently, we have 83 recoveries. We're looking at probably another 17 to take it to 100. But if you compare that to neighboring countries, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, and the rest, they seem to have a rather much higher levels of recoveries. What is it that we're not doing right?
I think we are doing everything right.
Or what is it that they are doing right?
We are doing everything right. Fortunately enough, I belong to the West African Rapid Response Team. We do have our Zoom calls just like we have meetings, virtual meetings. And one of the issues we wanted to define this week had to do with the recovery rate. Now we got to know that for every country has its own criteria in defining what they call recovery, based on 5 things. 1 has to do with transportation, availability of transportation. I'll come to that and explain why. 2, communication. 3, infrastructure, health facilities. 4, the human resource. So you got some of these, our brother countries, where they actually test you for the first time. When you are positive, they say you're positive. They keep you for 14 days. And then after that, they tell you that they call you to place a call. Are you doing all right? Yeah, okay, I've survived. Okay, then you recovered. Without doing a laboratory test to say that you have actually recovered. We got other people who go for 21 days because they say, look, we don't have the test case. We can keep you for 21 days. Now, WHO recommends 2 things. 1, that when you get someone positive, you keep the person for 14 days, right? And then after that, you do 1 test. If it comes out negative, you do a second test within 24 hours. If both tests are negative, you'd say the person has recovered. Now, if you don't have the testing capacity, what you do is that, look, you test the person for the first time is positive, you run the 14 days. When the symptoms are down, you give him 14 more days. And then you say, look, I'm sorry, I don't have the testing capacity. After 28 days, we think that you are recovered. What is Ghana doing? We say that, look, we will keep you for the 14 days. We'll do the first test. When it's negative, we do the second test. We get you negative before we say you are cured. So when we say you are cured, you've recovered. Now, if we do the second test and it's positive, we run you for 21 days. Then after that, we go through the same sequence. We do the first test, and then after 24 hours, we do the next test. So we need to always have our 2 tests completed before we do that. Now, I also spoke about infrastructure. This is what is happening. In the neighborhood, we are among a few people with hospitals actually designated for COVID-19. The rest, they have some hospitals, but most of the cases are being home care. But we also do know that home care is not that good because a lot of people can just not do it. So what happens? When we test you positive, we take you to the treatment center. What we do is we evaluate you and we ask you, can you do home care? If you say yes, we say, all right, we will take your word. But we will go with you to your house with a checklist. We make sure that, yes, your house has all the conditions to do home care and you're not going to infect anyone else. Then we assign you to a doctor who will be talking to you twice a day, right? Then you take your temperature and all that, and then we get to know. After 14 days, we do the test. 1,
so essentially, we have a more rigorous approach to this.
When I finished talking to on the Zoom line on the meeting, and one of the guys said to me, "Oh, Dr. Kaba, then we all have to come to Ghana." I say, "You know what? You come to Ghana after 52 days because we are locked down. After that, you come 52 days when you are all we are all now assured that there is no more COVID-19 over there. We're actually doing the right thing because we actually have the capacity to test and make sure that we get things right. So I am personally not worried about the issue of the low numbers because we are actually following the time frame and we are actually doing what has been stipulated to be done. Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Samuel Kaba Akoria. He's the Director, Institutional Care at the Ghana Health Service and Coordinator of the Laboratories for Testing. He essentially leads Ghana's COVID-19 test teams. And you're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break at this point, but still ahead in the bulletin, we have been, we're bringing the story of a young fabricator who's ventured into the production of face shields, an essential PPE in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic.
I use laser machine to fabricate things. I thought of making a head face shield that will prevent the health professionals from contracting the virus.
Stay tuned in. We'll be back in a bit.
Time now for business. Sandra Afenu is here with the very latest.
Hi, Aisha. You know that old adage that there's no free lunch?
Yeah, there's no free lunch.
But government says there's certainly free lunch because your electricity tariff or your bill is free.
Okay, I want to understand how that works.
Yes, we'll be breaking it down for you in business.
Sure, take it away.
All right,
Sandra.
Celebrating 25 years of joy. My name is Sandra Esinama, and as always, I'm here for business. You may be enjoying free electricity for the next 3 months at the expense of government, but how much does government have to bear as a result of the social intervention? Energy Minister John Peter Amewo says your COVID-19 free electricity relief package for April, May, and June will cost government 1 billion cedis. More details in the following report.
Government says it will cumulatively spend 1 billion cedis on the absorption of the electricity bills of Ghanaians between April and June. This follows a decision by government to offer some relief to consumers amidst the novel coronavirus pandemic.
Ladies and gentlemen, overall, the government is providing a cumulative relief of an amount equivalent to about 1 billion Ghana cedi, approximately covering a customer population of about 4.8 million meters across Ghana for the 3-month period commencing April, May, and June 2020.
According to the Minister of Energy, Mr. John Peter Amewo, the package will cover over 86% of individual consumers and industries on the national grid. The minister added the 1 billion cedis will cover the electricity bills of consumers of ECG, the VRA, and the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO.
The relief of VRA comprises the following. 1. 12 mining customers at 42.4 million per month, or a total of 127.2 million for the 3 months. 2. VALCO, 4.8 million per month, or a total of 14.4 million for the 3 months. And 3. Other manufacturing customers such as Aluex, Diamond Cement Limited, Savannah Cement Limited, Enclave Power Limited, of which 7.9 million Ghana cedis per month, or a total of 23.7 million for the 3 months.
President Akufo-Addo announced 3 months of free electricity for consumers of a particular category to make up for the lost income following the coronavirus lockdown in Accra and Kumasi. He said the decision is part of additional measures being taken by government to mitigate the impact of the outbreak. Following this intervention, non-life customers will enjoy a 50% discount on the electricity bills, which would translate to 235.4 million cedis for about 278,000 residential customers and 160,000 for special low tariff customers. A total of 8.5 million cedis per month will be absorbed for lifeline customers, that is, customers who consume between 0 to 50 kilowatt of power. A total relief for ECG customers per month based on the essential revenue will be 244 million cedis per month, translating to 732 million cedis for the months between April and June.
His Excellency the President, if you did recollect, clearly states that as for the economy, we can bring the economy back to life. But for human life, once it is lost, it's difficult to bring it back. So His Excellency understands clearly in his own mind the difficulties of the utilities. But we hope as a responsible government, where we have brought this economy to, after the passage of this COVID-19, we will be able to bring the utilities back to life.
Let's take a look at the hard figures for the Electricity Company of Ghana, that is the ECG, and we have it on your screen right away. And COVID-19 energy relief package for the ECG, we are told that 87% of the country is connected to ECG and 1 million meters for non-lifeline consumers, and that's making up 25% of the total consumption. And then also consumers above 50 kilowatts, they fall under the non-lifeline users, and government will absorb an estimated amount of 8.5 million Ghana cedis per month. And so who makes up the non-life consumers? Residential consumers, 50% discount, we are told, and electricity bill will translate to 235.4 million Ghana cedis, and then also residential consumers will be made up of 278 160,806 customers, and then also over 160,000 customers fall under the special load tariff consumers. And if you come to the lifeline consumers, they fall within 0 to 50 kilowatt consumptions, and governments would absorb an estimated amount of 8.5 million per month. And if you add that up for the 3 months, which is made up of April, May, and June, it will come to 25.5 million Ghana cedis. And then the package will cover over 86% of individual consumers and industries on the national grid. All right, so still on the energy sector, government has withdrawn the cylinder recirculation levy introduced by the National Petroleum Authority on liquefied petroleum gas. The levy, which took effect from the 1st of April, added 13.5 pesos on the price of each kilogram of LPG. Reacting to the development, the LPG Marketers Association of Ghana has lauded the move. Vice President of the association, Gabriel Kumi, spoke to Joy Business after donating 60,000 cedis to the COVID-19 fund.
The National Petroleum Authority, NPA, introduced a new levy on liquefied petroleum gas LPG, which took effect on April 1, 2020. The essence was to help LPG marketing companies to assume full responsibility of the safety and maintenance of cylinders, as well as being liable for any accident involving their branded cylinders when the cylinder recirculation module eventually rolls out. The announcement was met by resentment by some industry players, with the LPG Marketers Association vehemently kicking against it. The Ministry of Energy, John Peter Amewu, announced the withdrawal of the levy during a COVID-19 briefing session in Accra.
The LPG, that slight increase in price that you saw in the papers, it has been withdrawn. The policy of the recirculation model, I think, as you are all aware, was a very novel thing introduced by this government. We have not started implementation. So that amount of money which you saw was supposed to be used, to level out the prices. But implementation, there was a bit of error. So it has been withdrawn. And I know the case is in court, but I can assure you that it has been drawn.
Vice President of the LPG Marketers Association, Gabriel Kumi, was happy with the current situation and praised the NPA for the move.
We raised concern, and we have been appealing that tax or levy is removed immediately. Fortunately, as we did hear from our sector minister, he has withdrawn the levy that NPA introduced on the 1st of April. We want to take this opportunity to thank the minister, and to a large extent to thank the president, and to a very large extent to thank NPA itself that they've now seen reason to withdraw the tax.
The association had earlier donated 60,000 cedis to the COVID-19 fund. It is expected that LPG prices should drop marginally with the current developments.
Meanwhile, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana and COPEC earlier filed a suit to challenge implementation of the cylinder recirculation levy. So how are they receiving this new development? Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Duncan Ama, joins me via the phone. Thank you so much, Duncan, if you can hear me. I believe you are privy to the withdrawal of the levy by the NPA. Does this automatically end the litigation? All right, we'll try and get back Duncan on the phone lines, but we'll move to other news updates now in the world of business.
Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Awingobit, has called on government to give a waiver to importers in this COVID-19 era. This follows complaints by some shippers regarding payment of huge demurrage due to the inability of shipping lines to process their clearing documents in time with the excuse of the social distancing protocol and partial lockdown. The Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, ISA, of the University of Ghana, Professor Peter Korte, has noted that foreign currencies will lose their value following the effect of COVID-19. But Professor Peter Korte is also of the view that the value of companies' equity shares crashing following the pandemic. He said some investments will continue to drop roots despite this pandemic, while some are already in jeopardy and their value nearly wiped out due to previous decisions in the line of operations.
And that will be all for business for now. I'm back after 8 p.m. with more.
Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. And one of the 7 persons tested positive for COVID-19 in the Upper West region is on the run. The 46-year-old Nigerian, whose name has been given as Simon Okafor Chukwudi, is a trader resident at Wampani in a suburb of Wa for the past 3 years. According to the Upper West region Director of Ghana Health Service, Dr. Osei Kufuor-Afre, he was tested positive at the start of the week and asked to go and self-quarantine. Dr. Afre disclosed this in an exclusive interview with Joy News' correspondent Rafiq Salam in Wa.
About 4 days ago, our number of confirmed cases for Upper West region increased from 1 to 7. When we look at our data, we realize that 5 out of the new cases were people who came in from abroad and joined us, including 1 Nigerian who also joined and is tested positive. The other one came from Western region to our region to increase our numbers to 7. But unfortunately for us, one of our confirmed cases cannot be traced, having given him his feedback on his test results. And it's been very difficult trying to reach him. So currently, as I talk to you, we have at hand 6 of our confirmed cases, with one of our confirmed cases being a Nigerian who is at large now, and we don't know his whereabouts.
When you took the test, was he supposed to do self-quarantine?
Yes, he was supposed to do a self-quarantine. We went to even assess his locality, and his environment really is not a good environment that can be allowed for self-quarantine. So this is somebody that we need to self-isolate.
Upper West Region Commander of the Ghana Police Service, DCOP Francis Abuajenyako, said a search party has gone out to look for him, and he's hopeful he would be arrested soon.
And link with the regional health directorate, and we are looking for the suspect. We visited his locations and possible places that we've been told he's been visiting. But as of now, we've not been able to locate him. But we are confident that we'll be able to locate him.
No, the COVID-19 positive Guinean national who escaped from mandatory quarantine in the northern region, and another resident of Old Fadama who tested positive and fled the community, have still not been found. We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. We'll be back with Showbiz. Time now for Showbiz. Becky is here.
All the time, people. I'm always here.
How are you, Becky?
Thank you.
Great. I know you have someone in the house.
Somebody special to you.
Tell me about
She's
it.
so special to me as well.
Yeah.
Efia.
Oh
Which
my
other songs
God.
do you like?
I'm so in love with her. I'm in love with you now.
You are always on my mind.
I'm in love with you now.
Hello to you. It's Gingham listening.
Hi, Efia.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. I wish I could see you though.
Oh, how are you coping with the lockdown? And have you identified anything new about yourself apart from gingham-ish styles?
I think my dancing skills are becoming way better. So you're going to see me dancing a lot.
Okay.
Coming forward. But I think the lockdown has been weird, very, very weird. Not to be.
This is Ghana, people. This is Ghana.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Yes,
but if you have, before you even continue, I know that for the first time in 2020, you're about to release a song tomorrow.
Yes, we're dropping a new single.
Priceless, yeah.
Yes, we're dropping a new single tomorrow.
Tell us all about it.
Featuring Mugiz. The song is called Priceless. It's really a fun song. It's about a conversation between a guy and a girl, and you know how that always goes. Just trying to cheer people up, even in these times of Corona, just giving people some hope out there that we're definitely going to come out again and we're going to party like we always do. So just keep hope alive and let's stay safe and stay home and know that we are priceless,
Well, that sounds so good. I mean, hearing from Efia is always good, fantastic. But what took you so long to come out with this material? I mean, even before this, you were a bit under the radar.
I feel you. I think Sarah was a good drop. So, you know, after we dropped Sarah, it was just, you know, take a little break for a while because I feel like the people had been waiting for that collaboration for a very long time. And you know how I drop my music. I do take my time to drop my music, but I think in the middle, we've had some really amazing collaborations. And December was very, very hectic for everybody, especially in the entertainment industry. So I think also for January, February, it was really about resting and also planning on what we're going to do for the year. And we was about to do a lot of traveling this year, but because of the Rona, we are all stuck at home. But we are giving you the music anyway, you know, just to hold you till we can do all the things that we've planned for the year.
Okay. For the corona, do you think that artists have a role to play in educating people about how to do things and all that?
I think everybody is trying their best to send the information across. You know, I see everybody saying, wash your hands, stay home. I think everybody is doing as much as they can. The government is doing really great with how they're processing everything. And I think it's up to us to actually just come together as a country, come together as people that love our life and love what it is that we want for our future, so that we can just adhere to what is going on and stick to the rules so that we can all be safe and sound, so that we can come outside again. Outside.
Oh, wow, interesting. And of course, you're one lady I like to listen over and over and over again. And I've been looking forward to that virtual concert. When are you coming up with one? I mean, that day I'm not coming to work. I'm going to stay glued by the set and watch you throughout the day.
We love our fans so much, and we're definitely planning something very, very special for everybody that's at home. I think we just want to plan it well so that we do it the right way. There's so much music to give and so much music. If we're doing a virtual concert, we're probably going to be going for a couple of hours. So we want to get ready. And if I'm going to have a virtual concert, I probably have to rehearse for at least 2 weeks so that I'm ready, because I wouldn't want to do anything shabby, because I love my fans and I always bring them the best, especially when it comes to performances. So just give me a little bit of time. I'm still trying to put it together, but definitely we will jam. We will.
Efia, before we let you go, I know that Aisha's favorite is I'm in Love With You Now with Sarkodie. Do you have a favorite among all your songs, do you really have a favorite?
Oh, no.
Should we sing it for her?
I think so.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm in love with you now.
You are always on my mind.
I'm in love with you now.
It's like I am Sarkodie right now.
Sorry.
Oh? Cheryl, is that you? But you know, before we go, Aisha, I have a throwback Thursday for everybody. Please pay attention to this.
Right.
It's on my honor to be faithful and loyal to Ghana, my motherland.
I promise on my honor to be faithful and loyal to Ghana, my motherland. I pledge myself. That's all I can say for them.
Promise on my honor to be faithful. I'm actually doing this on camera.
I promise on my honor to be faithful and loyal to Ghana, my motherland.
I promise on my honor to be faithful and loyal to Ghana, my motherland.
I pledge my service
of Ghana with all my strength and with all my heart. I promise to hold the high esteem our heritage one.
We promise to love our motherland. And
guys, I'd love to hear. I was enjoying the songs.
Oh, baby, you're here.
I was enjoying the songs. Can you sing? Can you sing for the two of you?
Oh God! Don't put this on like that. Like I'm not a musician. You know that.
Let's go.
I'm so shy.
Which one do you want? Because right now,
Sarah,
me don't say me de me
chawa
Usubanya so me pel Sarah.
You love me.
But
we made you happy, brother.
So yeah, sure. And that'll be it.
That's good. That's good.
That'll be showbiz. And for those of you watching on Joy Prime, that'll be it. The news continues on Joy News. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. And lack of personnel at health facilities in the Upper West region is contributing to the increasing number of people dying from cerebrospinal meningitis. Regional Director of Health, Dr. Seikufo Afre, who disclosed this, also added that the number of CSM infections is now at 258. He was speaking in an interview with Upper West correspondent Rafiq Salam, who has more in the following report.
40 people have died in the Upper West region. The number of CSM infections in the region has also jumped to 258. This comes at a time the country is battling the outbreak of another deadly virus, coronavirus, the organism causing COVID-19. Health authorities in the Upper West region say although the outbreak of meningitis in the region is an annual occurrence, this year has become difficult to deal with. Dr. Kufuor Afre outlined some of the challenges health facilities across the region are facing.
Our region is saddled with low human resource, so we have fewer nurses, and also especially we have fewer doctors to also manage the cases. So some of our hospitals are just one-man hospitals, and the stress on them becomes too much because they need to, aside meningitis, attend to other normal routine cases like malaria. They have to go to theater and operate. So you find out that the work becomes too much for one doctor in a hospital to manage. So we are stressed a lot because we don't have the required numbers of health workers to help in the fight. One of the preventive measures, which is very sure, is to immunize or vaccinate people against the disease. But unfortunately for us, the disease is not caused by one strain. So depending on some environmental factors and some mutations or whatever things that happens, this year you may get one subtype giving us meningitis. Another year you may get one subtype. So what we tend to do is that once the season starts and then we get to know which subtype you are dealing with, quickly we mobilize the vaccines and prevent those who are at risk.
Mother of recovered 5-year-old Amina speaks about her ordeal.
Right, she came from school and was complaining of her hip, that the hip was paining, but since they are children, so we thought maybe she might have failed at school during playtime and other stuff. So the following morning, the dad took her to regional hospital. When they went, they said maybe it was infections. They went and then they had to take x-ray and other stuff. So they gave us antibiotics. We came and then we were taking it. Still, there wasn't changes. There was no changes. So later on, we saw that she couldn't even sit on her own. She could not walk. There was a lot of stars. Like, she couldn't just sit. She was just stiff, straight like that. She can't sit. And then the mouth was even sore because she wasn't eating. There wasn't a lot of what she was not taking. There was the fruit all was finished. She wasn't. So later we saw that regional hospital didn't help us much. So we went to Dr. Matai's hospital. It's a private hospital. Exactly. Meza, yes. So that was where we went to. Then immediately we just got there. They started infusion water and other stuff. I saw that already she was getting better. The first water was gone and then she could sit small, but not very well.
The Ghana Health Service is expected to release a statement on this matter.
And that was Rafiq Salam's reports read to you. Many displaced residents at Old Fadama spent the night in the open after the structures were demolished to make way for dredging of the Korle Lagoon. Nursing mothers and their babies were sleeping rough with their babies strapped at their backs. My colleague Kwesi Parker Wilson spent a greater part of the night with them and filed this report.
Any baby alcohol. Because of my son,
slum dwellers at Old Fadama, including children and nursing mothers, were forced to sleep in the open after city authorities demolished their structures. At 12 midnight, when Joy News visited the area, some of the squatters were lying on tables and benches, whilst others huddled together on mattresses, disregarding physical and social distancing protocols. Some nursing mothers had their children strapped behind them as they passed the night in the cold weather. Others also fell asleep while sitting in plastic chairs. Some of the young guys who had no tables and benches to lie on were loitering and fighting off mosquitoes. Joy News also gathered that some of the affected residents had moved out to live with friends and other relatives within the non-affected areas of the slum. The Accra Mayor, Mohamed Ajayi, promised that the displaced will be housed in temporary structures, but it does not reflect the reality on the ground as many of them sleep rough.
The first measure is that they've been moved out to other areas where they are sleeping. Some of them had requested that we should provide tent. And of course, that's what I'm saying. I'm going there again tomorrow. Some of them has said we should provide them tent, but we are looking for a suitable place where we provide the tent, because you cannot also provide a tent at a place where that place is very mushy. So you are also mindful of some of these things, so that when you are taking decisions, the decision could be possibly right, on all these things.
Aisha Al-Hassan, who is sleeping rough with her 1.5-year-old baby, tells Joy News city authorities have not gotten in touch with them.
Please, I feel bad because where we were feeling good for ourselves, but for now we don't know the reason why we are out, and mostly they could have get something for us, a place for us to sleep, than sleeping outside. It's not good for me.
I was told that they were providing you with tents. Has any of the authorities come to you to provide any tent?
They didn't.
They've not done anything?
And they didn't do anything for us. They promised us that they will give us, and we didn't receive anything from them. And even we didn't see any of them here. And for now, we are sleeping outside and mosquitoes are biting us.
Where we are going to sleep.
Abdul Mohammed had to plead with a friend to accommodate his 2 wives and 2 kids whilst he sleeps on a metal chair. Abdul says he's praying for government to lift the lockdown so that he can relocate his family to his hometown.
Right now, see, it's my shirt that I'm using because of the mosquito. So I don't know where to sleep. That's why we are sleeping here. So we don't feel happy at all. Now I'm not working. Day to day I'm not working. So and this one to come. So now I don't have anything self. So now we are just praying to God. If they open the way, then we'll get chance to our hometown. Until city authorities find a place for displaced residents, the homeless would continue to sleep rough in Old Fadama. For Joy News, I am Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
In a related development, the minority in Parliament has condemned Wednesday's demolition of makeshift homes at Agbogbloshy, describing the exercise as callous and insensitive. Minority spokesperson ABA Fuseni told the media during a visit to the community that the Accra Metropolitan Assembly could have postponed the demolition until after the lockdown. He says the displaced persons will struggle to comply with the lockdown without homes to live in. The Sanyarugu MP says the minority will soon summon the local government minister to Parliament to answer questions over the demolition.
Life they live there. A lot of them are sleeping outside rough because they have no homes to go to. I'm sure you are already aware of the cramped up conditions under which they were living. And now even that one is gone. So what have you left them with? So no one is saying that people should not comply with the law. We should. But in circumstances where we have to take certain actions, we should be mindful about the environment. We should be mindful of the circumstances in which the people live. We shouldn't reduce them to the status of animals. By God's sake, for God's sake, they are Ghanaians. And even if we need to enforce the law, we should enforce it in a manner that accords them some level of decency and human dignity. We must not take away their dignity and treat them in an inhumane, degrading, and a way that connotes deliberate punishment. I think that is most unfair, especially in times such as where we are. We are already aware that they are no longer working. For the past, we are now entering the 3rd week. Where are they going to even get money? For those of them who can look for places temporarily to rent and stay, where are they going to get the money? And the money that government has promised them has not gotten to them. I'm sure you people spoke to them. Even feeding is a problem. They have been told they'll be giving food, even elementary food. They don't even give you food. Would they give you money for rent? You haven't even gotten the main food to eat. You are asking for dessert. How is that going to work? So they are living rough, and it's a violation of the government's own directive that people should stay away in their homes. Now, which place do they have? Can they call home and go and stay?
So more like a compounded crisis.
The opportunity exists in Parliament. We are going to call on the relevant minister for local government or minister for works and housing or other relevant ministries to come to Parliament and answer. And in fact, if there are opportunities, some of us will put statements on the floor of the House.
Well, Amnesty International in the last few hours has released a statement condemning the demolition by the AMA. The statement issued by Amnesty International reads 16th April 2020. Amnesty International Ghana is alarmed at the untimely and insensitive demolition exercise at Old Fadama carried out by the Ministry of Water and Sanitation and the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, which has rendered hundreds of people homeless at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. This is the time we expect all government institutions and agencies to work together to support government's efforts to fight COVID-19 pandemic. A demolition by these government agencies at the height of fighting a pandemic is uncalled for and puts into question government's commitment to providing the needed protection for the vulnerable. We therefore call on the AMA and the Ministry of Sanitation to immediately halt further demolition at Old Fadama or make alternative arrangements to relocate the residents before continuing any demolition in the community. They should as soon as possible provide a temporal place to lodge the residents who have been rendered homeless by the current demolition and to ensure their safety and, more importantly, from the possibility of contracting or spreading the disease. And the statement is signed by Robert Amoafo. Yeah, Robert Amoafo is the current country director of the Amnesty International. Izzy, how does it come to you, I mean, that people are rendered homeless in this time of COVID-19?
I mean, well, as we heard the minority say, indeed, if you're going to demolish, you have to make put in some provisions for them, because otherwise, like you're saying, how do you expect them to observe the lockdown? So that's really an issue, and I hope they get addressed quite soon. Meanwhile, some of the head porters and other residents of the area are asking government to exempt them from the lockdown so they can return to their villages. They complain, apart from accommodation challenges, they are not benefiting from the free distribution of food, thereby making life difficult.
We work at Makola, but no one is buying our water now, so we want to go home.
And the idea is and say, "Oh, be a coin of my name, I am quite baby, I say free by because I want a company, dear, and ya come kitsua and see, say, oh, my Adrian in DDR, oh, my coin."
What I have to tell government is, if they cannot give us food, they should allow us to go to Tamale. Hunger is killing us. We don't even get water to bathe.
And so, Yanya Binjali, Ella, them so I them. Yetiaka, that's why I share. And to the idea is friend and say, oh, my Adrian, they are on beer quite else. Pacho Debbie.
Pacho, I don't know what to channel or maybe. Yanyabi, Uncle for say.
The food they are sharing, we are not getting some. Our parents have been calling us from home and saying government has given us money, but that's not true. We want to go home or we will die of hunger.
The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted significantly on global trade as businesses across the globe are forced to wind down and territories shut their borders. Many countries, as a result, are compelled to look internally for solutions they would have otherwise imported, especially in the fight against coronavirus. Here in Ghana, the production of personal protective equipment is not being left to established businesses alone, as some young Ghanaians, such as Charles Tando, are doing what they can to support. From a small factory in Accra, he's producing face shields, which serve as added protection in efforts to prevent direct contact with COVID-19 borne droplets. Kwesi Parker Wilson paid him a visit in our report.
All around the world, millions of people have been asked to stay at home just to prevent the transmission and spread of COVID-19. But health workers are doing the exact opposite. Access to PPEs have become one of the major key concerns for health workers. The inadequate provision of PPEs has been raised. In spite of that, health workers continue to do their things. Some of them are even anxious of transferring the infections to their families. Today, I am here to meet a young man who has decided to prioritize the safety of our health workers. This is his contribution towards their safety. Follow me.
Everybody live in isolation. Trying very hard to find solution. We pray for the souls we lost and the heroes who fought. Heroes, time to love one another. It's time for the world to come together. No black, no white. No.
It's a time when innovation and creativity is being beautifully blended with love and patriotism. Virtually everybody is doing their little to make the world a better place. And here in Ghana, a young entrepreneur, Charles Tando, has also chosen his path, producing local personal protective equipment to support and help overcome the shortages in the country. Everyone is at risk, especially frontline workers. Charles Tando has been spending sleepless nights developing face shields for frontline health workers.
I was watching foreign news and I heard that there are shortages of PPEs all over the world. And I also heard Kojo Opon Nkrumah also saying the same. So just dawned on me I just asked myself, what can I also do to help in this crisis, especially the health professionals who risk their life in supporting us or ensuring that this pandemic is being curtailed. So the idea came, since I use laser machine to fabricate things, I thought of making a head face shield that will prevent the health professionals from contracting the virus.
Mr. Tando spends between 20 to 30 minutes to develop a headgear for the shields.
This is actually just an artwork. So you get a concept and you design it on a software like maybe a CorelDRAW, but I use Inkscape. That's the software I use. You just design it and you give it to another software that understands the laser machine and you just cut them out for you. So this is actually a face shield that protects you when you are communicating or someone spitting on you or protecting you from the COVID virus. First of all, it will engrave the black areas. The machine is said that it deals with colors. When you give it a black color, that means it should engrave. When you give it a red color, that means it should cut. So all the red outline is cutting. So that will give you the headgear of it. And the black strokes are it's like writing. It will write the lettering on it. So that's what the machine is doing right now.
Charles intends to distribute the face shields freely to the health workers. But his only challenge is he's unable to procure materials for mass production.
Though it's not much, but it will go a long way to help our health professionals. And now the challenge I'm facing is the restriction. I can't go out to get materials. So I wish the government can provide me with these materials. That's the 3mm acrylic and the PVC sheet. It's just these two materials that I need. I have the machine myself. I have the artwork that I can produce this in large quantity for free. for our health professional.
I am Kwesi Pakowelsen, reporting for Joy News here at Amahia in Accra.
And I am Aisha Ibrahim in the studios in Kokomlemle. Now, neglected, that's how some doctors who are not working from COVID-19 treatment centers describe their situation, as some who recently came into contact with the coronavirus patients await their test results. And neurosurgeon Dr. Hadi Abdallah is one of them. He tells an emotional story of how his son refused to speak to him when he denied him water in his bid to shield him from the possibilities of an infection. First, Dr. Abdallah makes a case for even distribution across health facilities and to include health workers who are not stationed at COVID-19 treatment centers to prevent what he describes as silent infections.
Two different ailments, but could have been COVID positive, and unnecessarily exposed us. Unfortunately, the difference between us and those working at the treatment centers is that they have all the cover, because nobody really identified us as a risk group. So we were not provided with the PPEs. I've had my samples taken, all my colleagues have had their samples taken. And the danger is that some of us work in a highly specialized areas, that when we have just a single exposure, the whole unit may have to be closed down. I'm a neurosurgeon. Today I've had calls from several colleagues around the country who want to send patients who have bled into their brain, who need emergency surgery. My call is that, look, the PPE should be made available to every worker, every healthcare worker who is working at the clinics and the emergencies, because that is where the danger is. That is where the danger is. I tell you what, this same patient that some of us were exposed to, we saw the patient without the necessary PPE, okay? But the moment we called the public health team, they came in full PPE. And this is a patient we've been exposed to as close as 3 weeks. We just have to pray that none of us came positive. If we don't take the issue of the PPE very seriously for workers like us, we're going to have a lot of healthcare workers getting exposed. They will be going home with the viruses and will be silently infecting the communities without knowing. There are healthcare workers who are being picked from our various hospitals in public transport every day. Every day we have nurses, doctors sitting in the Ayalolo bus. We don't know which nurse is affected. But for the fact that they work in hospital and are not at the treatment centers, they are not getting enough protection. And that is where the danger is, because if any of them get infected, they are still going to the communities. That is the danger. Those people have been neglected. They have been really neglected. I on my own decided that I was going to buy my own face masks and PPE. So I bought my own N95, which I encourage my junior colleagues to do the same.
What's the live on Joy News Prime? We'll take a break. We'll do more on business after the break.
Hello again and welcome back to business. We want to revisit our earlier story where we've been told that government has withdrawn the cylinder recirculation margin on LPG, and the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers earlier today have been reacting to this. They filed a lawsuit earlier to challenge implementation of the cylinder recirculation levy. So how are they receiving this news? We've been joined by the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Ghana, Duncan Amwa. Good evening once again, Duncan, and thanks so much for your time.
Good evening and good evening to your viewers.
All right, so I believe you are privy to the withdrawal of the levy by the MPA. Does this automatically end the litigation?
We are privy to a directive for withdrawal by the Energy Minister. We are not privy to a withdrawal from the NPA to the LPG marketers as we speak currently.
What's the difference, Duncan?
The NPA, if you recall, on the 31st of March, decided on its own to write a directive to the LPG marketing companies directing that they start collecting a certain 13.5 pesos per kilogram margin, which they call the recirculation margin, the LPG cylinder recovery margin. That decision has been contested. We've even had to file a writ challenging the NPA's propriety or their legal basis for clapping such a levy on Ghanaians without the due process of going through Parliament or the finance minister to go to Parliament for approval. So that is one end of it. Now, the expectation that it will be withdrawn also is born out of the fact that the LPG marketing companies on whose behalf the NPA claim to be collecting these margins have been quite vociferous and clear in their thinking that they are not in support of any action that further worsens the plight of Ghanaians by way of taxes. So if you recall the past 2 years, they have been at the forefront of canvassing or advocating for taxes on LPG to be reviewed downward.
Right.
And so it would have been difficult to see how they would also support this. They have been clear. NPA should not collect these monies. Unfortunately, NPA has been adamant. And we do understand that the minister had issued that directive almost a week ago for the NPA to withdraw. So if you listen to the minister this morning at the press series, he was clear in his mind of a withdrawal. Unfortunately, the reality on the ground is that the taxes or the levy that was slapped by the NPA is still being collected as of this day and time.
So obviously you're going ahead with the litigation, but should we be looking at the revenue generated for the period within which it was charged to be returned to the consumer, and how can that be done?
Clearly, those would be subjected to the law, and I am quite sure that the law courts will give a very fair ruling on behalf of Ghanaians. If people do not have any legal basis to slap levies on Ghanaians, this should serve a deterrent. Other than that, people will take the law into their own hands in any administration and in any agency and say, go and collect money. And when people complain about it, then we say we have withdrawn. Then whatever the people would have been collected already gets stuck in there. So we are going ahead. We are going to seek full compensation or returns of money collected wrongfully from consumers. We are going to ensure that the NPA in today and in future do not take the laws into their own hands and just issue directives for oil marketing companies and LPG marketers to just go and collect money from Ghanaians without the proper and due process of law being complied with, as speculated in Act 174 of the 1992 Constitution.
All right, grateful for your time. Duncan Amoah is Executive Secretary of COPEC, want to still on energy issues, and the Institute of Energy Security is projecting that prices of petroleum products will remain unchanged at the pumps at least for the next 2 weeks. This was contained in a bi-weekly report on developments in the petroleum sector. There's more in the following report.
Their forecast is based on modest reduction in crude prices on the international market. The report also shows that over the past 2 months, some of the oil companies have dropped prices by more than 15%. Policy researcher at IES Raymond Nuwato says, taking into consideration the relatively modest reduction in prices of gasoline and gas oil on the international market, as well as the 2.29 marginal reduction in the price of international benchmark, Brent prices will remain largely stable on the local market.
We also take into consideration the fact that our market can realize that most of the OMCs are unable to sell their stock. We realize that before the lockdown, OMCs averagely sell around 5,000 of their refined products, but as of now, they are hovering around 2,700, which is a deep reduction on their stock. So most of their products are still in their stock, which is affecting them. And anytime they leave, you have to pay taxes to government. So we also put all these factors in place and looking at the rate of depreciation to we forecast that from today, prices will remain largely stable.
He, however, added competition between oil marketing companies, OMCs, to control and gain more market shares may result in the selling price of fuel falling marginally within the second pricing window of April 2020.
Because of the competition between the OMCs themselves to control and gain more market shares, may result in selling prices falling marginally. We do not expect significant reduction in prices, but marginal fall due to competition and maybe humanitarian consideration due to the circumstances that they are facing as a nation because of the coronavirus.
Meanwhile, National Oil Marketing Company, GOIL, has revised fuel prices effective Thursday, 16th April. Super XP is now going for 4 cedis, 21 pesos per litre, whilst Diesel XP is selling for 4 cedis, 21 pesos per litre at the pumps.
To the international commodity markets now, Brent crude sold today at $27.36 a barrel, going down further by minus 1.19%. Gold sold at $1,713.45 an ounce. Details in the commodity news. Time tonight on Business. My name is Sandra Esenam App, and you can get more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Stay home, stay beautiful, and stay safe. Thanks for watching.
I'm Gary L. Smith. Thank you very much for joining us on Joy News Prime. I'm here with the sport. Now, as we collectively try and battle out COVID-19 in Ghana, there are many opportunities for corporates and institutions to help in their various ways. The Ghana Football Association, as you may have heard in the last week, have offered the Ghanaman Center of Excellence as an isolation center. However, the people of Pram Pram, as we heard initially, did not want the facility to be operated there, especially because of reasons of stigmatization and so on. However, it seems that we have light at the end of the tunnel. Kerry Kraku spoke at this morning's press briefing with the Ministry of Information.
So following the passionate appeal by the President of the land, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, asking all Ghanaians to join the fight against our biggest enemy, the Ghana Football Association, led by the Executive Council, thought that regardless of the fact that we've been going through our own, what we call COVID-18, in the period leading to normalization and beyond, we will not sit down aloof, for which reason we decided that we have a special facility in Pram Pram that can house up to 250 people. It is strategically placed. We decided to offer this facility to the use of government as one of the isolation centers to treat our people, our colleagues, our brothers and sisters who live in Pram Pram and its environs. Now, following that singular decision, we decided, together with the support of the Ministry of Health, the government officials, to engage the chief, the elders, and the youth of Pram Pram and its environs. In the last few days, we've gone through that process successfully, and we can confidently say that the facility is ready to be used by the government free of charge to ensure that our brothers and sisters in Pram Pram and its environs are well taken care of. Together, we'll win this battle, and together, we'll bring our football back.
Together, we'll bring our football back. However, you know, Italy has been off the radar when it comes to football for quite a while. One player there is Agyemang Badu. He plays for Hellas Verona, and as we've heard, football may not return to Italy till the middle of 2021, according to the Italian authorities. But for Ajimambedu himself, even though the whole world believes that 2020 has been a bad year, in Latin we have a phrase called annus horribilis, which is horrible year, and that is what 2019 and 2020 have been for him. In March, he lost his sister. She was murdered in Brekum. He himself has been beset with injuries, and he's had it very, very difficult indeed. He spoke about the last 12 months and how he's been coping to the BBC.
The year 2019, the year 2020 are the toughest years in my life. As you said, I get a lot of injuries, and with this pandemic, I lost my sister in a painful way. It's very difficult for me and the family. The guy is on the run. We haven't got him yet because things have been slow because of this virus. And it was a disaster at that time. I live alone here. My girlfriend, my child is not here with me, and I'm in the middle of this pandemic. And I need to thank my friends, the family, the loved ones, and our team, Hellas Verona, my agent, has been there for me. Our coach, Juric, has been there for me as well. Call him in every day to check up on me. Our team manager, our president, and my colleagues. They have been very wonderful. Without them, it would have been a very disaster, because I have been in the room for 34 days. My sister has been killed painfully and couldn't go to see what happened. But this is the job I have chosen. This is how the situation has been for now, so I just need to abide with it, take good care of myself, be mentally tough, and just live with it right now. I can't do anything.
If you ever have the opportunity to read Kobe Bryant's book, you would know that he copied Michael Jordan to the T, and that's what you saw in that. When he died, Michael Jordan said he was like a little brother and a piece of me died. I'm Gary Al Smith, and that's the sport for now. Let's do this again tomorrow, shall we?
Time now for the interactive segment, and yesterday you saw the demolition exercise at Old Fadama. Last night my colleague spent a better half of the night at that place. The people were sleeping outside, and he showed us pictures. We posted this on Facebook. A number of comments have been generated from this. We've had 262 comments, 247 shares, 624 likes. Let's look at the comments shortly. Amono says, this idea of we have stayed here for years, we have nowhere it's going. I really don't get it. If the place is not legally your property, what is this that you want to still be there? Because that has been where you lived for long. Such thinking, including Wayside Sellers' idea of we have only here as source of money, should all be debunked and kept with proper measures. We know people have traveled for work and other greener pastures, but we can't be improper always in the name of humanity. And more of your comments. Richard Odai says, lockdown and excavators are destroying houses in Ghana, whilst rent allowance has been suspended in other countries. Shame on our leaders. Good in opposition, worse in government. Jones Uncle says, sometimes during news carry some news lines as if the person sleeping or living over there are on legal structures. They stay close to lands that are close to the Kwali. How will the machines go there to operate? This is the same Joy News that is spearheading the Clean Ghana campaign. And Nano Poku says, so some human beings could be so evil and heartless to this extent. God knows why we are being striked by the coronavirus. Judgment Day awaits all of us. Wicked people. Nicholas Yao says, when one of them tested positive, he or she should try and go to Accra Mayor's house at rate to spread his house with the virus. I support this. Well, that's not a good advice. Christopher Kwabinabeko says, these people have blocked the main waterway in Accra that channels all water in Accra into the sea. They have blocked the waterway with sawdust, and soon the rain will start. These kind of actions are painful but very necessary for the good of the larger population. John Eng. All right, and Israel has more of your comments there. Israel?
All right, then, Aisha, so the story I have, also Kwesi Parker Wilson narrating the predicament of slum dwellers at Old Fadama. And I have Mahama Hamdu saying, our leaders are helpful, wicked people. Okay. So it says our leaders are helpful, and he say wicked people in another breath. This is very sad. They should have even waited after the pandemic. Kwesi Delali says, so you guys couldn't have waited till after this pandemic before carrying out this exercise. I mean, what's the point in this? If we're trying so hard in preventing this COVID-19 from spreading, Oman Ghana, and Enyenu Komla says some leaders are heartless, or at least wait for this lockdown to be over. Think about if these people are your families, Ghana. And then Abdul says, we are in crisis. We all know these structures are their homes, or their homes too. So why can't you wait until the lockdown is over before doing your demolition? Where should they sleep? You are comfortable in your homes with your family, and people are out there with their families sleeping outside. Our leaders are so insensitive, Aisha. All right, and that'll be all for the bulletin. I'm Israel Lai, as always, anchoring from home. And just for your information, Joy News is free to air on your digital terrestrial TV. That's it. Over to you, Aisha.
And definitely, my name is Aisha Ibrahim. I've enjoyed my almost 2 hours stay with you. Up next is PM Express Business Edition with George Wefi. You don't want to miss that. Have a great one.